WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are on the opening day trail around here. We are on the Crab Cake Trail. The Maryland Lottery is sending me out all month long. April 5th, we're going to be at Costas, one of the original places that sold a lottery ticket in 1973. I'll be giving away the instant lottery scratch-offs. That is on the 5th, next Wednesday. And then on the 7th, we're going to be at Fadley's in the morning, the day after opening day, the day of the big Bruce Springsteen concert, as well as the Eagles opening the new Bank Arena downtown. All of this, of course, brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Window Nation, 866-90-NATION. I got my hair cut the other day, but not so much that I can't wear my Window Nation floppy hat. Leonard Raskin joins us now with all things. I mean, it is tax season. It's opening day season. It's hockey season for those non-playoff teams like the Capitals are apparently on the fence about a lot of things in coaching. But I know you're into the Lamar thing, but like you're watching other sports, man. We had a World Baseball Classic. We had Final Four going on here. We got great teams involved this week in new blood. It's been a really interesting sports week, Leonard Raskin.
It has, and all things Lamar are quiet on the Eastern Front, except some cryptic, crazy Twitter thing that I don't see. So I don't know. I'll wait.
Have you invested in the entire gym yet, or no?
No, I don't even know what that's about. I've never even. I saw it. I don't know what the hell we're talking about. But let's face it. I don't care if it's half the gym, a quarter of the gym, or the entire gym. I'm not going to the gym. See, here's the way my world works. So, I've renamed my bathroom gym, so that then I can say every morning I go to the gym.
Instead of the John,
it's Jim. And, my dog is named 10 Miles. So every morning I walk 10 miles. So that's my exercise routine, going to the gym, walking 10 miles. And there we are. But I'm here all week. Anyway, the Lamar thing is bizarre.
I feel like I'm in the Catskills right now. The drinks are cheap.
The Lamar thing is bizarre to me. I don't know if the C word, collusion, is out there. The guy's not getting any offers from anybody. That's kind of bizarre. You figure, okay, maybe not a $250 million guarantee, maybe $150 million, whatever. Even Irsay saying, I'm not interested, I guess. Who knows?
Do you think the Ravens really want him?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Because otherwise they got to start trading up in the draft to get CJ Stroud or Young or somebody. Maybe they're interested in Cam Newton. I saw he worked out last week at the Auburn Pro Day. Who knows? What I do know is at the Ohio State Pro Day, and this is not a boy thing. This is just a thing.
This is CJ Stroud thing is what this is.
No. The apparently the scouts were salivating over Marvin Harrison Jr., who is a wide receiver that CJ was throwing to on the Pro Day. He's not eligible because he was a freshman, or whatever the rules are, he's got to stay in college at least one more year. But the dude is a stud wide receiver.
Well, the Ravens might be bad enough to get him if they play without Lamar Jackson.
That could be.
Right?
That could be. Tyler Huntley did make the Pro Bowl. Have they signed him? I don't even think they've signed Huntley yet.
Yeah, the whole thing.
They haven't even signed Huntley.
I know you wanted to talk Frozen 4. We want to talk about
things that really matter.
I just want to say this from a fan standpoint.
It's bizarre.
We're up on opening day. We're a couple weeks out on the draft, and nobody talks about the draft here, right? Who we're picking doesn't even matter. Nobody even knows that where we're drafting our draft
bad
position,
receiver.
Right?
A bad receiver.
So we already signed one of those last week, Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah,
so we did that too.
What are you going to do?
I would just say for this week and where we are and the normalcy of opening day, the Terps did nice. There's a horse race going on in a couple of weeks. If you're into hockey, the NBA, whatever NASCAR, golf, whatever you're into.
Sure.
I mean, we got Masters coming up, right? So like all of these things that are happening out there, the football thing is by far the biggest thing for all of us.
Sucks the oxygen out of everything else.
But it sucks the oxygen out of the entire offseason situation of the Ravens, where it's not just about the draft or Nelson Aguilar or who we're signing or where Calais Campbell's going next or Marcus Peters.
Can't pay anybody until you pay the man.
Luke said this, and he said he read it somewhere on the internet, so I'll give somebody the credit for it.
Right.
He said that Lamar's hijacked the offseason, and he
right.
really has. I mean,
there's no doubt.
And we still don't really have an outcome
they could have done
as
this.
to know whether
they could have done
this.
And look, I don't know the salary cap at all. I don't know how it works. I don't pretend to know how it works. It's the most convoluted, crazy thing in the world. You pay a guy a fortune, but you're not really paying him. He doesn't count, but he counts. It's also ridiculous. But here's the thing. They know how to pay him so that he can be paid what he wants, and they can still pay other players, or else Kansas City would have no players. So there's a way to figure this out. They could have figured it out. They're all being stupid about this, and it's gotten ridiculous, and that's the way everybody looks at it. So in the meantime, off to Bridgeport, Connecticut, the Ohio State Buckeye men won their first game against Harvard 8-1. Unfortunately, they lost to Quinnipiac in the semifinal. Quinnipiac, whatever it is, in the quarterfinals of the men's frozen hockey. It was 2-1. Then they had an empty net goal and a little stupid nothing late 4-1. But it was 2-1. It was a hell of a game. The boy was up there playing in the band, but it was basically a home game for the Quinnipiac because it was in Connecticut and that's their home. But that's what they do. They're the number 1 seed. They get the home ice. Frozen 4 in Tampa, Florida. Go figure. Who'd have thought that someday back when? But
Tampa's a hockey town. And
I'm saying it's absolutely a hockey town now.
I remember when hockey went to Tampa and Columbus and Nashville and in Arizona, and everybody was like, and Atlanta at the time. There were the Thrashers at the time.
Yep.
I remember all that, and the notion that Tampa,
it's
Nashville to some degree. I mean,
hockey
Barry's
hub.
gone back there.
Yeah.
They sell a lot of tickets, but Tampa is a place where the baseball team has been very, very good, and the weather is very, very good, and there's Cubans and Latins and kids, and you can play 11.9 months a year baseball.
Yep.
And it turns into a hockey place. It's the
and
craziest
they've won the
thing.
cup. They've won the cup. Big wins and big fan base, and so down goes the Frozen 4 over Easter weekend, and it'll be amazing, and the boy won't be there. That's okay. Onward to the ladies hoops. How about the ladies hoops? The girdles, the girl turtles are in the Elite 8.
Well, they're a breath away here from another Final Four, right? I mean,
they're Monday night against South Carolina. That's a big task. South Carolina hasn't lost in like a year and a half.
Well, that's why they're the 1 seed.
Yeah, they blew them off the court earlier in the year, I think by like 20-something. So it'll be a tough game, but they're playing good ball. The girls could end up in the Final Four, and who knows? They're on their way. And the Buckeye girls, I don't know what they're called in basketball. They call them the Volley Bucks for the girls volleyball team. I don't know what they call the girl basketballers, but they play Virginia
Lady
Tech.
Buckeyes.
That's it. The Lady Buckeyes, whatever.
That's it.
They play Virginia Tech for a chance at the Final Four. Iowa's already there, so if you look close, you could end up with 3 Big Ten teams out of 4, with LSU being the other representative in there. And then, my goodness, how great was the men's NCAA tournament this year? I mean, no 1s, no 2s, no 3s in the Final Four. This is a forever. I don't think there's ever been a tournament since '79. I think it is the expansion. I don't think there's ever been a tournament without a 1 in the Elite 8, and we got no 1s, 2s, or 3s in the Final Four.
Well, when the tournament started, I was sitting up at Hollywood Casino at the Barstool Sportsbook.
Yeah.
And you could hear, like, the Terps played the first game, right?
Yeah.
So I got up there at 11:30, and the TVs are on, and it's Barkley and, all the talking heads.
Absolutely.
And they all were saying, and I was trying to, like, really pay attention to what they were, because I'm in there, I'm on my phone, I'm just watching the big screens, and they're like, wide open tournament. And I even tweeted, like, I made fun of it. It's another wide open tournament, right?
Right.
And they're like, you're going to see that these lower seeds are more equally balanced with the top, and this is going to be a thing in basketball. And I'll be damned if 12 days later, 11 days later now, right? I look up and see San Diego State, see Florida Atlantic, and see the way they've played, and see the way that Fairleigh Dickinson, who you probably couldn't have pronounced that name, like Quinnipiac a couple weeks ago, where people don't know about these small schools, Towson State, right?
Yeah.
UMBC.
The Tozens.
UMBC, is that in Missouri or Mississippi or Montana? I don't know. So people don't know all of this stuff, but where we are now with basketball and the NIL, this is a little bit of a top being blown off, right?
Yeah, well,
First
you have
year NIL
things.
comes in that this happens. I think it changes the complexion of
basketball. The whole thing. Well, what it does, let's face it, you've got the NIL. That's a big thing. And with that, the overbearing, overglaring, undiscussed transfer portal. If you look at these teams and you say,
well, Miami was
who
bought,
started there?
right?
Yeah,
Miami, Larinaga bought that team.
Yeah, you say, who did he recruit? None of these guys. He recruited them through the transfer portal. And this thing is changing the landscape of college sports. And then you put the transfer portal with the NIL, and you got guys that are going to a place as a junior or senior or a grad student transfer. And
well, think about when Uncle Kevin can write a check for the next Diamond Stone or the next Suleiman or just down the Steve Francis. I mean, pick any of the guys in the past that if you have some money and you want to give a point guard $800,000 to come down to South Beach and bring his talents for 6 months to the classroom, of course.
Of course, because you want a better grad pool. I'll tell you what, Ohio State, and this stunned me. We were out there earlier the year for well, I guess it was late last year for a football game. And you have the NIL where, as you said, let's say that WNST or Raskin Global want to write a check to a player as NIL to license their name, image, likeness for our brand. Well, that's not far enough. They have a fund that as a alum, you can contribute to a fund. It's the Ohio State NIL fund or something of that ilk. And they'll use that money for an alumni NIL for a player. So like you said, we can just buy players with legitimate money instead of stuffing money in their pads as they walk by to enter the stadium. We could actually write a check to the NIL fund that will buy a player, and you get transfers. And
think about this, Leonard. You sponsor me, right? You sponsor WNST. You help me feed my family. I support Raskin Global. We're partner clients, right?
That's right.
Okay, but and that's all wonderful. But let's just say, and I know you have done a lot of business with Ravens and charities and softball games. I ran into Jimmy Smith down at the Chaucer the other night. I know you know Jimmy a little bit. We were comparing our hair. And, part of that was for business for you and to meet base football players, be around, have your clients meet them.
Absolutely.
All of that. What if I'm making this up. Towson or Coppin. Towson or Coppin, right? Towson or Coppin come to you and everyone like you. Every one of my sponsors that is a personal, local air conditioning business, wherever,
absolutely.
Right? And just say, Larry, we want to make Towson better this year.
That's right.
Put 10 grand, 20 grand into the kitty. We got a kid up at, Lehigh. We're going to go steal. And from Bucknell, we're going to bring him down here. He's in the transfer portal. He's a good kid. Pat needs him, or Juan, or whoever the new coach at Coppin will be. I shouldn't say Juan, but wherever it is, that you can change Towson that way, or Coppin that way, or UMBC that way. If you're Mr. Big, I can't imagine the kind of money, and I know Under Armour's got hard times, right? So, I mean, and that goes without saying. You follow the stock. Under Armour has all sorts of issues, right? But in the day when they were fat and happy and giving money away, and Ray Lewis is on the billboards and they gave money to everybody but me, that they could change Maryland.
Absolutely.
Steve Bisciotti, and I want to bring him up right now because I'm looking around, Leonard. I can't find Steve. He's hiding from me. By the way, today I should be at the Biltmore on behalf of you and every other sponsor doing my job. I should be sitting next to John Harbaugh about an hour from now, as I've done for 18 years next to Brian Billick before that, asking questions this time of the year about Lamar Jackson, about the team, about the
thing called the owners meeting.
NFL owners meetings with the Biltmore right this minute.
Yep.
I'm supposed to be out there with Bisciotti, but I'm going to indict Bisciotti in a lot of ways for not just being a dishonest guy and like all that, and evaporating right now. As a journalist, this is below the bar, hiding from journalists, torturing journalists, throwing us out, doing all this stuff. But I'll just say this with Bisciotti. He always said, and you can go back to Purple Rain 1 or 2 and read this. He always said, I bought the Ravens because I couldn't buy the Terps. I would have bought I couldn't buy the University of Maryland. But I bought the Ravens. And I'm thinking to myself, well, now you can have both. You've made $4 billion. If you want to fund the Terps so that they get that kid from Miami instead of Larinaga getting that kid, or you want the next time, and it just takes one
little bit of money.
Dude, this is a great opportunity for you to talk about money. Leonard Raskin is here, Raskin Global.
Big deal.
You handle that kind of money. You have a couple of clients that have millions, if not
Oh yeah, of
billions or
course.
whatever. And
No
they're getting
B's. We don't have
older.
any B's. No
No B.
billions. We have
Okay.
millions.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair
We have
enough.
lots of millions. We
Okay.
haven't found the B
But
client
you
yet.
have the kind of people, and
Yes.
you have been the kind of person that can write a modest check, 10,
Yeah.
20, 50, a
Yeah.
modest check
Sure.
that you write to
Sure.
the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital. I
Yep.
know the people you support, right? I've done a lot of work with Ed Block years ago
Yep.
and
Yep.
leukemia and like all that. If you have some Mr. Big in your place, that if they really cared about state U, whatever that is,
Absolutely.
that they are now in play, and this now becomes a game for Pat Scarry to find people with money, or for the next Coppin coach, or
It's a
for
whole new
Kevin
world.
Willard.
It's
It,
a
it,
whole new world for
and
the
I don't think it's
coaches.
greasy, or I don't think it's anything. I just think it's not about education. It's not
No.
about school
Well,
presidents,
I
right?
was going to say, let's just call it what it is. It's about buying championships. It's about bringing the dollars, because I imagine, although I don't know the numbers on this, you may know better than me, whether it's CBS, TBS, the NCAA, whatever, Final Four teams are getting big checks. You get a check to go to the tournament when you're picked of some magnitude. And I imagine every round you stay in, that check is bigger. And I got to believe these Final Four teams, Miami, FAU, what do we have?
No, I was going to say Florida Atlantic.
A 2-minute campus in Boca. Is it a remote school? I don't even know if they have a campus.
I was going to say Florida Atlantic. I hear they're having some financing problems in Boca.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're really come across hard times down in Boca.
Right. I'm sure. And guess what? I think TBS, CBS, like I said, somebody's writing them a check, and they're going to suddenly have a campus. And enrollment is on the upswing. There's no question. And enrollment from 6'8" men who can shoot the hoop is up. And
you know what? First time I went on the Glades Boulevard in Boca, Gary Matthews Jr. was playing for the Orioles. And Gary Matthews, I talk about guys being bad guys. I mentioned Jimmy Smith being a good guy, ran into him.
Yeah.
Gary Matthews Jr., from the minute I met him, was just such a good guy. You know what I mean? Like just a good guy. And his dad obviously played for the Phillies and like all that. And I remember being at spring training with him in Fort Lauderdale, and he's like, "Brother, I got this ice cream shop for you, man. You like ice cream?" He said, "You go up to Glades and you make a left. It was it's the Cold Stone Creamery." I had never heard of such thing, right? This is 1999, whatever.
Right.
I don't know. You tell me when Gary Matthews, 2001, whatever year that was, right?
Yep.
20 years ago. Gary Matthews sends me up to Glades Boulevard, and this is where the Pete Rose's sports bar was on Glades there. And Pete, the Hit King, would do his radio show from there or whatever.
Cry about not being in the Hall of Fame.
I pulled up on the Glades Boulevard, 1996, 97, 98. I'm 26, 27 from Dundalk, and I'm like, I could have gone to college here.
Yeah.
What? I could have gone to college. Like, how do I sign up to go to school here?
Right. Right. The Boca U. Boca U. I always think of Seinfeld, Del Boca Vista, with Jerry's father, who lived in Boca, and he got him the Cadillac, and everybody thought he was on the take because he got a Cadillac. He was a Mr. Big, but his son bought it for him, but nobody believed him. Every time I hear FAU, I'm thinking Boca, I'm thinking Seinfeld.
Well, didn't Schnellenberger coach there of football?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Do they have a football team? Really?
Hold on a second. Yes, he did. Listen, hear me out on this.
Okay, go ahead.
In 2008, when I had retired the first time on the air and was running the station different, you were listening, right? I had started to work on a book about Baltimore coaching lineage and leadership.
Sure.
So my thought was I could write a book on coaching with all of these people with Baltimore connections. Like at the time, it was Don Shula was alive.
Yep.
Not just the Gary Williams and people like that, but Bob Ferry, Wes Unseld. There were just all of these people in sports. Over at Hopkins, the Petramala and the lacrosse community, and all of the football pieces, right? From Mark Gibrota was alive. All these people.
Sure.
Schnellenberger was a Colts coach who was coaching at Florida Atlantic, and I had a chance, and I really screwed. I mean, I don't have a lot of regrets in life, but I had a few of them. One is that I didn't do this with Shula, and I could have done it with Schnellenberger. I literally had an appointment set up with Schnellenberger on the campus to go and visit with him, and something got screwed up. But I almost went to the Florida Atlantic campus to sit with Howard
Is it
Schnellenberger.
4 blocks? What are they? I don't
I
even know
don't
what they
know,
have
dude.
there.
I know it's in Boca, and I don't remember exactly why or how I didn't get there, but I know
Right.
I was seeking it out. But I still have never been to the Florida Atlantic game. But it struck me as Boca football, Schnellenberger. Hey, I almost went there 15 years ago.
You know, if you hit the Google machine and you type in Florida this morning, you know, usually you get all these things that pop up in the Google machine. Today, Florida Atlantic is the fill in the blank. You know, when you start typing and it autofills, Florida Atlantic University.
Florida Atlantic has been searched more than anything political or beach.
Exactly.
And by the way, my kid's at Disney right now too, so he's actually in Florida. Leonard Raskin is here. He's getting us ready for tax season, baseball season. Are you ready for baseball?
I am. I watched a little bit of the Classic. I watched the ninth inning. I just happened to be somewhere where I could tune in. The ninth inning of the USA Japan World Classic game. Did you see that ending?
That was a moment, wasn't it?
Did you see that ending? The top of the ninth, they bring Shohei Ohtani in, Showtime out of the bullpen. He gives up a single.
He kept running back out to the bullpen to warm up and had to come in the bat.
Yeah, he gives up a single, double play off of Mookie Betts, and then the showdown that everybody wanted to see. Him against Mike Trout, teammate against teammate, power against power. And he's throwing 100 mile an hour gas.
East against West. Don't forget that. East against West.
Yeah, he's throwing 100 mile an hour gas right by Trout like he's a baby, and struck him out to win the championship. It was an amazing moment. Other than that the USA lost, it was stunning baseball. And so that just got me in the mood. A little bit of baseball there was all good. And I said, you know what? It's time to check out some baseball. So I would love to watch a little Oriole preseason, but I can't find it anywhere. It's not on anywhere.
Well, it's because they're not making enough money, and you know the notion that there is a point where they are a marketing machine and they've literally done nothing to market their baseball team in that way by showing the actual players that they're going to show up Thursday this week and it's going to be the first look for most people. That's unfortunate. That's sad, and that's not why they were gifted this network, really.
Yeah, they're not on the preseason anywhere. I haven't seen a game. So all I know is a couple guys have really long hair. So you'll fit right in with the Orioles this year. A couple guys have really long hair going. And they got a good young crop. And my hope is that they don't disappoint, that they play to their opportunity. They got a young core. They got some good kids. It looks like these guys are winners and want to win. And I am very much looking forward to going out for a couple sunny days and seeing the boys swing the bat, throw the ball, and win some games. And I would love to see a playoff team here. If we could go from horrible for so long to last year, weren't they above 500 last year?
Well, yeah, the churn of where it began in the middle of May last year to ramp it up, that's where it begins now.
Right.
Like, it begins now with real hope, where a year ago it was like they're still losers until they prove they have winners. They have some players here that feel foundational in Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Cedric Mullins is one of those guys, or whether obviously the pitcher and Grayson Rodriguez, they feel like this is a cornerstone thing. I feel like this rollout, this first month of the pitch clock, the shift, the stuff that regular baseball fans like you and me that have been a little more tuned out the last few years, maybe came back in last year, are going to have to readjust to what current baseball is. And the one thing Luke and I talked about that I don't know that everybody's aware of is that this unbalanced schedule that they have now really benefits them. They're going to see a lot less of the Yankees, a lot less of the Blue Jays. And I think that this year specifically, those 20 or 25 games, that's a hell of a swing to be picking up Pirates games and Diamondbacks games.
Absolutely. And I think if you get good young hitters, and I've said this to you, I've said it to other people, I've never gotten anybody to agree with me. I don't really care. The shift, it was annoying to me. I like that somebody was ingenious enough to think of it and to institute it. I thought it was brilliant from a standpoint of defensive baseball. But I wonder to myself, to others too. If Tony Gwynn would have been the magical hitter that he was if he played in a shift era, because they could have covered that hole that he hit every ball into with the shift, and he might have gotten out 50 more times than he got
Gwynn
on.
would have hit the ball down the left field line.
I don't know. He might have. That's what people say. He was that good, and
he was that good. I knew
was
Tony
that
Gwynn.
good. He was that good. But man, that distorted offense in a big way, because lots of guys were hitting to right center, left center, that were outs, absolutely outs. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how they play this now. I did see, I don't know who it was. It might have been the Yankees, might have been the Dodgers. In the preseason, tweak the rules a little, or play with the rules. I don't know if you saw this. The rules are you have to have 2 infielders on each side of second base. So they had somebody that was up for the opposing team, left-handed hitter. They played Little League softball. They brought the left fielder in and put him in the shift position and moved the outfielders around a little bit in case he happened to swat one to left.
Softball outfield.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they played the left fielder in behind second in the shift.
Hey, dude, if that helps you, if you hit the ball down the right field line and get a triple, God bless you, right?
Right. But the point was that the rules are made, but they found a loophole. They brought an outfielder in to play the infield position on the grass, because the rule doesn't say that you can't do that. So teams will be creative, but this will be real stand-up baseball. And that pitch clock and what is it, batter's clock, right? You got to be in the box in a certain number of seconds.
No more Mike Hargrove, no more human rain delay, right?
The human rain delay. And you got to be you got to get the pitch off in a certain period of time. It's going to be quick. It's going to be interesting. You have to get your hot dog early, because there's no more 3.5-hour games, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's not such a bad thing, having watched college basketball where these games get over in 2 hours, having gone with the World Cup all through November and December where the games get over in 2 hours.
Yep.
Football, you can say what you want about, but it's 3 hours, and you know what it is. I mean, it's a little Schindler's List, a little longer movie. You know, you just know you're going to be in there.
That's
Superman.
Right.
You just know it's going to be 3 hours long. Leonard Raskin is here. He is the Superman of all things finances around here at WNST in Baltimore Positive. You can find his work at Raskin Global. That's RASKIN. You can also find him out on our website as well. Anything you have on tax season the next 2 weeks? Because I mean, we talk sports and all that, but get it right.
Get them
done,
filed.
Right?
We've had this conversation multiple times. File the taxes. People think you can file for an extension and don't have to file the taxes. Thus is true, but you have to pay what you believe your tax bill to be, or else you get slammed with ugly penalties, interest, etc. You must file the return or file for an extension, and you must pay what you believe your tax bill to be at the time you file either one. You don't get to file an extension and not pay. It's not an extension to pay, it's an extension to file. So file, because if you don't file, it's really bad. If you file the extension form, it's the same as filing. Pay. If you don't pay, it's even worse. Well, actually, not filing is worse than not paying, but the goal is do both by the April deadline. Move on, get your taxes done. Know that there's some things you can still do to save taxes. If you're a business owner, there are things you can do up until you file the taxes to save taxes. So if you haven't spoken to your financial folks, your advisors, your accountant, whoever that may be, file the extension, give yourself time, another 6 months to file, and take advantage of opportunities that you may have to save taxes for 22, even though this is 23. And if you're all buttoned up, file, pay, or file the extension and pay, file the taxes later, but get them done. Don't let that linger out there. It's a bad situation. You don't want the IRS or the comptroller coming after you to say you didn't file or you owe money and penalties and taxes and interest. It's bad. So that's the big advice for the end of March here as we march into the Final Four and filing taxes. That's the big thing right now.
All right, my brother. Leonard Raskin is here. He is there at Baltimore Positive as well as at Raskin Global, making sure that all financial concerns are buttoned up here in this tax season. We are getting out for opening day. We're going to be doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour next week at Costas on Wednesday in the afternoon. All are brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. I have the instant scratch-offs, the old schoolers I'll be giving away. Also, our friends at Window Nation making it happen. We have some new sponsors coming aboard as well. I'm getting an oyster tour together for our 25th anniversary, which comes up on August the 3rd of this summer. So we are preparing for 25. Is that silver? That's not gold. It's silver anniversary 25, I think, Leonard,
I don't
right?
know what any of them are.
Oh, well, 25 is a lot. So we're going to count them all
lot.
up all summer long, and we're going to have some oysters and some crab cakes along the way. We are at Fadley's next Friday in the morning on the 7th. That's the morning after opening day. Also welcoming the brand new arena downtown. Bruce Springsteen and the Eagles coming in here to tune it up before we get Anita Baker and Janet Jackson. I just saw John Mayer's playing, Bryan Adams, Joe Jett.
Queen
with Adam Lambert, no less. So, yeah, sing. We will rock you. Maybe the Orioles will be We Are the Champions by the time Queen gets here.
Who knows?
It's opening day around here. Luke's going to be at the ballpark. You can follow him at Baltimore Luke, as well as Dennis Colatzos will be here on Thursday and again on Sunday morning. Big week around here. Final Four, opening day, springtime, owners' meetings where the owners hiding from everybody. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.